I fully understand. Okay, so let me ask this. First and foremost, one of the most amazing things happened. You guys, that 2 years was backdated. So it was the work wasn't in vain.
So one day I'm seated at home and I'm called by the bank manager of my bank. She goes like, Ted, I think this guy is like at the president's salary in your account.
So president's salary is not that much.
What do you
1
mean?
point something too.
She goes like, yeah, it wasn't too much.
Yeah.
She goes like, hey, Bukam. I asked her, what's the balance? She says, I'm like, hey. Oh, by the way, it wasn't government runs on something called job groups. And it's standardized everywhere, which means the same person in my position in Nairobi and in Wajir, we earn the same. There's no difference.
Okay.
So it's not as which guys think it is. It's not. But government just gives you better opportunities and great to serve, number one, but also to earn from what you're doing. I go to the bank, not too much money. It was just like about 2 million. I look, I'm like, you know what? I booked your for me 200 G's. Cash.
We see.
Put it in my pocket. You remember Carnival? Same thing. I say, if it's a wrong transaction, say yeah. You're the eagers are that's
who gave me.
Me have to work at.
Because you haven't been told you guys your thing has been reported.
What are you saying? Me, I was planning there. I just got 30 the year costo. In Mombasa, I just tell myself sorry. Just sit in this. I just nyonya cocktail drinks, umbrella cocktails. Dini, I pack on myself sand. I jump in the water. I come back here. If you tell me to pay, I'll be like, listen, I don't have cash. Like, give me a year. So, have you ever owed people so much money that when you call the person you owe, they don't want to pick because they think you want to give them a story? So I made a list and I started signing out money, paying people.
Shucks, you were in debt, huh?
Yes, I was in proper debt. And something else happened during that time. So my company had collapsed, bankrupt. You will not believe that I went to church for a prayer. And this guy came and told me, Ted, you know what? God has told me to tell you that he's going to sort you out. Told me, I see a very tall building with glass windows. So I was like, hey, what are you seeing? You're seeing your own things, man. That's that building in Tao. You're seeing your own stories. The next week, somebody called me and told me that, hi Ted, how are you doing? We've been thinking, and we want to buy your company. Told him, listen, something you should know about this company. This company has Denise. Like, it's okay. If we agree, we'll take the Denise and everything and all that. Anyway, let's say I went to a glass building. We sorted out the company. They took it and took all the debts.
What?
So I'm free. I'm debt free. I've just received this salary. I'm now starting my life afresh. I'm like, you know what? If I drive this thing again wrongly, I'll ingia shimo. So thank God for the things I've cut out. And I focus on. But you see, life, every step of life has an exam. Even after you've learned the class 1,
exam.
Class 2 equal. Even if you do a PhD, you still do they're still doing an exam. I became bankrupt again 4 years ago.
Oh, man.
And this was basically a poor business decision. Now, the idea, the dream was legit, but the execution was not.
Your school?
My school.
And
I opened this college on Barich Road. And because I had...
Where Homeboys used to be?
Yeah, because I have OCD, I built up the school properly and invested heavily. And I went to people like DJ T-Bone, who had a recording studio. I've never paid him. I still owe him money. I went to people like Cairo, my friend. Cairo he had a production house with lights and water and jibs, and he gave me equipment. Total amount of money I lost in that venture is 24 million. And that means money which I spent and money which I owe and money which will never come back. But I learned something that money cannot buy. Number one.
Just explain to people. So what did you open up? You opened up a digital school.
It was a creative economy school.
Uh-huh.
My dream has always been to have a college where people in the creative economy can get accreditation for the work that they have done. For example, you have done great in the digital space. It will be hell to tell you to go and get a degree in digital and then start you from learning how to write hashtags. But I can tell you, you've done this for 5 years. It's equivalent to 3 years university digital program. I just give you a test which is practical.
Yep.
And you actually just get your degree.
Powerful.
The mzee who has played the nyatiti for 50 years, if he wants a degree, he has to go and start doing music again from square one. But you see, the music will never be nyatiti music.
Yep.
But he is the master. So how can you honor him? So it's the accreditation thing. But one of the things which I learned from losing all that money is time and chance. Time, chance, and wisdom.
Fafanua, explain more.
Time, everything happens on time. Chance, you must always go through the gap. When the gap gives itself, go in.
Penya.
And wisdom. I opened a school called the Africa Creative Arts and Innovation College. And I invested in brick and mortar. So that wasn't wise.
Wrong time.
If it's meant to be a digital school, I would have invested more on making it an online school and give it the best accreditation around that space. Which means I would have taken 5 million shillings, wherever I got it from, and put it on getting accreditation for the next 10 years. And then now recruit people to learn online, because that's where we're going to. We're going online. Anybody by there who's doing anything right now with brick and mortar, in terms of the space, a repetitive space, is going to waste himself. Everything is going online. Number two, time. Sometimes God removes you from harm's way, but you're so set on that thing, you get annoyed with God, but God has just saved your life. I opened the school 3 years ago, ran it for 1 year. What happened the next year? COVID. So if I'd run the school for 2 years, how would I have paid the rent? The rent was 400K per month. So God removed me on that time, put me out of time, and now I believe, because I'm about to start the school again, that He'll bring me back in time.
Proper time now.
He just removed me from harm's way. But when He did it, I got so sad. I was like, God, what will guys think of me? And nobody wants to understand that you don't have the money to pay. Nobody wants to know. Everybody's like, no, listen, you pay us, you have money. In fact, tell the again, to go back to the same place.
Stage 2, class 2 now.
Another thing is technology. Remember, technology becomes obsolete.
Extremely. This same camera we're using is not the one we are using on nameless CTA.
Some of the equipment I've had to sell for such
cheap,
ridiculous amounts. I remember I sold 3 cameras for 100K. DSLRs.
Not shocked at all.
I've broken so many equipment that I don't even know. I come to them like, I'm sure we had this thing yesterday. Because technology is obsolete. So I think what God was trying to do is tell me, don't invest too much on this, invest on this. So now we're going online, trying to create programs for online accreditation.
So that's great. It's not dead.
Yes.
Okay. So you're going online, you're trying to do this from an online perspective.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I want to ask this one, we continue. So let's go back to State House. Let's talk about a transition. Second term. Second term was huge. Second term, the second term of the president was just, the beginning of the second term was huge. Let me just say that. In terms of him and the DP separating, even from you were faced with such a huge choice. Stay or leave. A lot of the people who you came in with left. It's not for me to throw names. They made a decision and they have their reasons as to why they did it. Why did you stay?